The rain hammered against the windows of my small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. My name is Leopold, and until a few weeks ago I thought I had it all. A successful career as a software developer, a cozy home, and a loving wife, Adelaide. We'd been married for 7 years, a period I foolishly believed to be filled with unwavering devotion. I was 43, and Adelaide was the vibrant center of my world. It started subtly. Adelaide, a talented architect, began working late more frequently. Important deadlines, she'd say, her brow furrowed with what I thought was professional stress. I'd make her dinner, a simple pasta dish or a grilled salmon, and she'd pick at it, her mind already miles away, lost in blueprints and building codes. I attributed it to her ambition, her drive to succeed in a demanding field. I admired her for it. Then came the phone calls. Whispered conversations in the hallway, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. When I'd ask who it was, she'd brush it off. Just a client, she'd say, or my mother. I never suspected anything. I trusted her implicitly. That was my first mistake. The first real crack in our facade appeared during a weekend getaway to Portland. We'd planned it for months, a chance to escape the city and reconnect. But Adelaide was distant, preoccupied. She spent hours on her phone, texting furiously, her back turned to me. When I tried to engage her, she'd snap, "I need to handle this, Leopold, it's work." One evening, while she was supposedly asleep, her phone buzzed incessantly. Curiosity, a feeling I'd never allowed myself to entertain before, gnawed at me. I picked up her phone, my heart pounding in my chest. It was locked, of course. But then I saw a notification pop up. "I can't wait to see you again, my love." My blood ran cold. My love? Who was my love? It couldn't be me, not the way she'd been acting. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, the room spinning. I forced myself to calm down, telling myself it could be a misunderstanding, a wrong number, but deep down I knew. I knew something was terribly wrong. The next morning, the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. We barely spoke during breakfast. I watched her, studying her face, searching for any sign of guilt, of remorse. But she was a master of deception. Her expression was unreadable. Back in Seattle, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living a lie. I started paying closer attention to Adelaide's movements, her phone calls, her emails. I felt like a detective in a bad movie, but I couldn't help myself. I needed to know the truth. One evening, Adelaide left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't resist. I sat down and opened her email. And there it was. An email from a man named Ignatius, a senior partner at her firm. The email was explicit, filled with declarations of love and promises of a future together. I read the email again and again, each word a dagger twisting in my heart. The details of their affair spilled out in agonizing clarity. Romantic dinners, secret rendezvous, weekend trips to Vancouver. They had been seeing each other for months, right under my nose. I felt a rage build inside me, a white-hot fury I'd never experienced before. I wanted to scream, to break things, to confront Adelaide and demand an explanation. But I knew that wouldn't accomplish anything. I needed to be smart, to gather evidence, to plan my next move. I decided to hire a private investigator. His name was Barnaby, a grizzled ex-cop with a no-nonsense attitude. I told him everything, showed him the email, and asked him to follow Adelaide and Ignatius. I needed proof, concrete evidence that I could use in the divorce proceedings. Barnaby was efficient. Within a week, he had photos and videos of Adelaide and Ignatius together, holding hands, kissing, entering a hotel together. The evidence was irrefutable. I felt sick to my stomach, but also strangely relieved. The truth was out. The charade was over. I confronted Adelaide that evening. I laid out the evidence, the emails, the photos, the videos. She denied it at first, her eyes wide with feigned innocence. "It's not what you think, Leopold," she said, her voice trembling, but I didn't back down. I showed her the email, the photo of them kissing. Her facade crumbled. She broke down, sobbing, begging for forgiveness. "I don't know what came over me," she said. "It just happened. I didn't buy it for a second. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This was a calculated, long-term affair. She had betrayed me in the worst possible way." I told her to leave. I couldn't bear to look at her. The divorce was ugly. Adelaide fought me every step of the way, trying to get as much money as possible, but I had the evidence and the judge ruled in my favor. I got the house, the car, and a significant portion of our savings, but the money didn't matter. What mattered was the betrayal, the loss of trust, the shattering of my dreams. I spent months in a daze, unable to eat, unable to sleep. I lost weight, I neglected my work, I isolated myself from my friends and family. One day, Barnaby called me. He had some additional information about Ignatius. It turned out that Ignatius had a history of affairs. He had cheated on his previous wife with multiple women, and he had a reputation for being a ruthless and manipulative businessman. Barnaby had uncovered evidence of Ignatius's corrupt dealings at the firm. He had been embezzling money, using company resources for personal gain, and engaging in insider trading. Barnaby had given the information to the authorities, and Ignatius was now under investigation. I felt a sense of satisfaction, a small measure of justice. Ignatius was going to pay for his actions, both personally and professionally. But it didn't bring Adelaide back. It didn't erase the pain. I decided to focus on myself, on healing. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions and rebuild my self-esteem. I reconnected with my friends and family who had been worried about me. I started exercising, eating healthy, and pursuing my hobbies. One evening, I was at a local art gallery, admiring a collection of landscape paintings. I struck up a conversation with a woman named Juniper, a vibrant and intelligent artist. We talked for hours about art, about life, about our dreams. Juniper was kind, compassionate, and understanding. She had also been through a difficult divorce, and she knew what I was going through. We started dating, and I slowly began to open my heart to her. I was scared, terrified of being hurt again. But Juniper was patient and supportive. She helped me to trust again, to believe in love again. She showed me that not all women are like Adelaide, that there are good, honest, and loving people in the world. One day, I received a letter from Adelaide. She was living in a small apartment in another city, working as a freelance architect. She had lost her job at the firm after Ignatius's scandal. She was struggling to make ends meet. She apologized for her actions, for the pain she had caused me. She said she realized she had made a terrible mistake, and she regretted it every day. She asked for my forgiveness. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to ignore her, to forget she ever existed. But another part of me felt a pang of sympathy. She had lost everything just like I had. She was alone just like I had been. I decided to write her back. I told her that I forgave her not for her sake but for my own. I needed to let go of the anger and resentment to move on with my life. I wished her well, and I closed the door on that chapter of my life. I am now happily married to Juniper. We have a beautiful home, a loving family, and a life filled with joy and laughter. I learned a valuable lesson from my experience with Adelaide. That trust is precious, and it should be earned, not given freely. That forgiveness is essential not for the other person but for yourself. And that even after the darkest of storms, the sun will eventually shine again. I often think about Adelaide and wonder where she is now. I hope she has found peace, that she has learned from her mistakes, and that she is living a happy and fulfilling life. But I know that our paths will never cross again. And that is okay. I have found my happiness, and I am grateful for every day that I have with Juniper.